everybody. Thanks so much for coming out and joining us for Unlocking the Possibilities and Decisions. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I'll be one of your hosts, Morgan Russell, and we also have Allie on the call with us.
Hey, everybody.
Before we get started, just let everybody know, of course, just like any of our other webinars or lunch and learns, feel free to use the raise hand to come off mute and ask a question during, as well as post any questions you have to the chat, and we'll get to those as they come. So we will get started. So going over the agenda, we're going to go through, what is a possibility and why have we built them? Of those possibilities, what did we release in Q4? That's of 2022, what's already out there. We're going to demo what's existing, what's already released, those outlined there. After that, we're going to be going through how you can get access to those already released items. And then we're going to cover the roadmap of Q1 and 2 of this year, 2023. So before we dive into what possibilities are, I want to give a quick background on who built them and the team. So this is the industry solutions team, the team that builds and creates and makes our possibilities for us. So over to the left-hand side, you've got myself and Allie. I'm the solutions architect. Allie's our product owner of financial services. And then over to the right, you have our entire dev team, as well as our VP of customer experience, Will Pedersen. Our dev team is kind of spread out. We've got members in Virginia at World Headquarters, as well as over in Nevada with our Scrum Master, Sonali. And then the rest of the team is located in Hyderabad, India, in our GOC Global Operations Center office. And I'll hand it over to Allie. Tell us about the possibilities.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Again, I'm Allie. I'm the product owner for financial services. So what are possibilities? Possibilities highlight what is possible in decisions. The solutions team wanted to tackle projects that would provide immediate value to our customers. And oftentimes customers find themselves struggling to get new projects off the ground. So solutions developed possibilities to focus on building microservices using our best practices that address pain points within financial services and cross-industry. These possibilities deliver valuable applications ready for download for free that would have otherwise required purchase or development. Possibilities have many purposes. They can encourage new projects or help in implementing projects faster that may already exist in your backlog. We can utilize possibilities in demos and trial environments, and they provide training for best practice examples because each possibility comes complete with documentation so you can see exactly how it was built. So we're going to take a look at what has been released as of Q4 in our App Store for users that are on V8 or newer on the platform. We kicked off our possibility suite with 9 calculators to assist in lending, underwriting, and servicing. All of these tools can be embedded onto your website to assist potential borrowers in the pre-sale state. They can be used by your loan officers to aid in capturing new business opportunities. They can also be added into workflows to assist in underwriting and servicing. Or they can be used as a visual guide for complex equations when building your own projects. These calculators generally fall into one of 3 categories: mortgage, debt reduction, or education planning. So in our mortgage tools, the amortization calculator, for example, can help businesses and investors understand and forecast their costs over time. For loan repayments, the amortization schedules provide clarity into what portion of the payment consists of interest versus principal. Our calculator demonstrates these complex formulas with visual tools in a workflow and provides the breakdown for use in servicing. One of our debt reduction calculators, the credit card payoff, can be used to assist borrowers in calculating their costs with high interest debt. And just like amortization, the calculator demonstrates complex formulas, which can then assist in building flows for servicing on existing debt. Within our education planning tools, the college cost calculator was built using an API to call the average cost of tuition based on institution type. This API to the Department of Education's college scorecard was built to automatically update annually for those new values. This calculator can assist borrowers and lenders or portfolio managers who might be looking to strategize for their clients' educational costs. So ultimately, the goal of all the calculators was to help end users do their job more effectively in order to capture more of the market share. These calculators take the guesswork out of these complex formulas and deliver immediate value to your process or your lenders or your borrowers. Next up, we released Scorecard Wizard. So a scorecard is a mathematical function developed using statistical techniques to generate a score. And although our Scorecard Wizard was designed specifically to optimize decisioning in the lending process, this scorecard can be adapted and applied to any industry to evaluate data and produce a score with a recommendation. So customers can choose any source of data, write rules, and assign weights to produce a more comprehensive predictive model. Lenders who wish to use more than just credit score in their decisioning process can write a rule for any product against any source of data to automatically evaluate files, which is going to speed up processing time and free up resources to focus on files that may require more scrutiny. I'm going to hand it back over to Morgan to talk about our first cross-industry possibility that was released in Q4.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Allie. We've got the digital ads optimization tool. Like Allie said, this is our first cross industries tool. This one is tying together Google Ads and Salesforce to really give you a system that ties both that information in, and we're able to then push that back up to Google Ads to train for better lead management and getting more leads to your system. So this one we actually built because in-house, we had the issue, we're using Google Ads and Salesforce, but Google Ads alone, it's really difficult to see what actually information is being pushed up to it, how to train that algorithm. So this was a use case for us to better organize the data and allow us to write rules to actually validate and tell Google exactly what kind of leads we want and what kind of information we're looking for. So down below, you have kind of a representation of the process. And this could work very similarly with other ads tools or other lead management tools here. So for us, if someone clicks on, say, an ad or clicks on a website, for us, the Decisions website, Google Click ID is generated. That gets then tied and creates a Salesforce lead in our system. And then the tool comes in that fourth slot where we pull information from both of those sources and then evaluate it on a daily basis based off of new leads from that previous day. And say all those leads are then run through rules we define and say this rule is good. We're going to value it at this amount, tell Google we like it this much, push it back up to Google, get rid of any errors or issues that occurred before it, and then help train that Google algorithm to give us better, more qualified leads. So those are our 3 release possibilities. Again, I want to let y'all know, please ask questions. Come off mute with the raise hand or put it in the chat. Always welcome for it. But we're going to take us through one of the calculators and the other 2 possibilities. So starting off, we'll look at the amortization calculator. Like Ali said, this possibility comes with just that entire equation as a subflow. So you can take it, use that math somewhere else, or just use the calculator as is. These forms are built so that you can run it via the flow. This is being run via the link. So the integration details set as that API link there. So we can go ahead and we're going to amortize. We're looking at a bigger loan. Say we're getting a mortgage for $400,000, interest rate of 5%, and it terms at 180. For the loan start date, if you're thinking about a loan, you could set a loan start date in the future, or say you already have an existing loan, you can pick a previous date. You want to view all the payments you've already done, kind of compare over time. You can do that as well. With all that information filled out, Now you're going to go ahead down and click calculate. But here we see total payback and total interest. Total payback is combining that total interest with the amount of the original loan. All calculators come with a reset function where this essentially is going to clear out everything of our fields. You can start again. You want new numbers there. You can also easily just change one value and hit calculate again. So that 5% isn't, really representing the market that you want to see, you want to compare. Go ahead and hit calculate again and see that new calculation populate our data. Once you've got information, you want to kind of look at it graphically, you can then view it on some charts. After you select view chart, first created with our kind of bar chart version of that data that we just looked at, those results of what you put in that form. So you're seeing your total balance go down over your payments. You're paying more on principal and less on interest as time goes on. And the same information is then shown again on a schedule. So you can see month by month from that start date until the last term that you provided on that form. You can see exactly the breakdown of the interest, of the principal, and that remaining balance there. And then, of course, you can hit back on both of these to return to that original form. And that is our amortization calculator. I want to close that if we have no questions on it. And we'll hop over to Scorecard Wizard. Scorecard Wizard was released after our loan calculator suite, 9. This one, again, is built with financial services in mind, but can be utilized for any kind of industry, anything that you want to send in data and evaluate it based off a set of rules and have those rules more easily editable and exposed tracking wise. So on this view, you can see we have scorecards on the left. So data repeater. So if you have more, there'll be more entries here. Based off of which one you're selecting, you'll see we have the rules for scorecard. This is showing you exactly what rules are in that scorecard that you've selected on the right. And then you also have the weights that are currently tied to your rules in that scorecard. Additionally, you've got a report here that's showing you all the scorecard rules in the system. So not necessarily tied to any scorecard, but can be used for a scorecard are there. So going through some of the function on this form, you can create a rule. This creates a scorecard rule. What's different about these rules than a regular rule? It's they're using a design pattern. So we're going to go ahead and say we want to look at the delinquencies. So we'll make a delinquency check rule. We've got spell check, so that always helps us out. Expose, you've got options of a statement rule to table or evaluation flow for which rule you want, what type of rule you want to build. So we'll just make a simple statement rule here. Once you hit save, it drops your user into the editor directly. You can see here we've got a design pattern in place so that the inputs and outputs are locked in, meaning that user won't necessarily have to be as familiar with decisions to know where that data is coming from, know where it needs to go. The format is already there for them to go ahead and fill in. So a risk officer could come in, find your data in your scorecard inputs. This is a simple flow structure, so you can change these inputs to be something else if you're not evaluating anything financial or you just want different fields. That's going to be edited by changing that data structure. Move my zoom bar. We're going to select for this rule our total delinquencies and hit next. We're going to pick our verb. We're going to want less than for this rule, and we're going to say 3 to finish off that condition. So in this rule, we're saying if the record comes in and has less than 3 delinquencies, we're going to give it a score of 100. And if else, we're going to give it a score of 0. You could wait and change your scores based off of the other rules that you have, how much you're weighting them. So that is editing and creating a scorecard rule. You can then navigate back over to your first tab. That second tab opened when you hit create scorecard rule. And you can see that that rule has now been added to our all scorecards rule list. Next, we're going to take you through creating a scorecard with that rule. So creating a scorecard, We also provided a name. So I'll give us an empowerment scorecard. Product type right now is just a string list with loans in mind. So it's these different types of loans. And location, just in case you had multiple scorecards that are on the same type of thing, product type, but in different regions. On this form is where you're going to actually select what rules you want to be a part of that scorecard. So for us, we're going to go ahead and pull in that delinquency check and a few others. Once you've selected these rules, this last form here on your scorecard editing and creating process is where you're actually assigning the weights. You can see we have a validation at the bottom letting you know that needs to total to 100. And it'll update as you provide your values, letting you know what you need. So we're going to total that up to 100. So this is the actual value that will then be multiplied, weighted to that score that results from that rule. So our delinquency check, we put 100 as the true path. So it's less than 3, they get 100 points. If it's weighted at 20%, it'll then, that 100 will get multiplied by that 0.2. And then we'll give you your actual score for that rule. So this allows a user to come in as a risk officer, underwriter, quickly evaluate, say we need to change something for the market, something changes, you need to evaluate new data, weight something higher or lower. It's a quick and easy way to provide that. So with that, we've just created our new scorecard there. So you can see that mortgage empowerment rule is the one we just created. If we get down to our personal scorecard here, we can see that there are icons that indicate actions on each scorecard. You have edit, delete, and run. We're going to demo running the personal scorecard, which default scorecard, it comes with your Scorecard Wizard out of the box when you download it, along with those 4 rules that are tied to it. Your options for running it include manual entry, and you can provide all the inputs to a scorecard. So that scorecard input type for just one record can run through and see the results. Or you could upload an Excel file for uploading multiple results. So here we're going to run through an Excel. I have a set of mock data available of 25 records. Go ahead and upload that. Once we hit next, this form shows us a report view of all of that data that we just brought in as from that Excel that we provided. So now that we're good, we want to send this through our scorecard. We hit next. That's run that through all those scorecards, all those 4 rules that are in that default scorecard. It processed. And these are the results. So we have an average scorecard score out to the side, comparing with the average credit score. You have the different recommendations based off percentage, comparison of scorecard score versus that credit score. And then over here, of course, you have the data grid where you can see per every application ID what that final score was and what that recommendation was. This still in the underwriting sense, if it's recommended based off of the score and what you've set up for this loan to be reviewed further or approved. That's set up with a truth table. You can easily change the scores that you want those buckets to hit. Additionally, on this page, you've got a download results that lets you download an Excel version of this data here that you're seeing. We can go ahead and close that. And the last thing that we want to demo for our Scorecard Wizard, now that we've run things through the scorecard, we want to be able to say, what was that result that we just passed through? Can we go back and look at that? So if we use the Audit Wizard in the lower corner, this shows a underwriter, that risk officer, everything that they need to go back and see, like a history of those scorecard runs. If you select a different one, each one shows you exactly the breakdown of what rules were ran, what weights were applied to those rules, and what was the outcome score for every rule. So say for this, for the review run, that was part of the ones we just ran in that 25-cent set. We have, that score came from that. So 450 came from our 150 plus 50 and that 250 there. I know it's a quick one, but that's all scorecard. So I'll go ahead and close those up. We don't have any questions on them. So let me navigate back. I do see a question. We'll take a look at it. Okay, looks like somebody dropped off. So next up, we're going to take a look at ads optimization tool. It's our last of our released possibilities. This one is our cross-industry tool. Again, tying together Google Ads and Salesforce. So this dashboard is where an admin would come in to actually set up their Salesforce organizations, meaning what Salesforce or lead source you're using to get, track those prospects, leads, etc. So from here, a user can go ahead and create a Salesforce organization. So we will go ahead and make one again with the empowerment theme. Salesforce tokens, this will have to be done ahead of time where you go ahead and actually set up your credentials for Salesforce, creating an OAuth token so you can gain access to it. This dropdown searches your environment that you're on and pulls in any Salesforce tokens for you. And then you'll set up their SQL versions so that those SQL queries will run on your Salesforce that you connect to. The active Boolean is letting you know whether or not you want to be actively checking and uploading those leads to Google Ads and whether or not we want to evaluate them. So there's a daily scheduled job in our use case, and what comes with out of the box, pulling in all those active Salesforce organizations leads. We can set that to true. Once you save that, you can see that the new empowerment Salesforce organization has been added. You can also edit and delete from here. The edit brings you up to that same form with that information already populated. Lastly, on this configuration settings, an admin will be able to quickly adjust their Google ad credentials. So you have your customer ID and developer token there. So once it's created, since this is a folder extension, it creates a new folder under the Salesforce organization's top folder and comes out of the box with the Salesforce rules dashboard and the Salesforce uploaded leads page. The lead rules, again, are the rules that we're evaluating all of the leads and Google Ads information we pull down against. It's very similar to how we just saw with Scorecard. So if you create it, you provide a name, select the type. Also is using a design pattern. This design pattern is pulling in the data from the Salesforce lead and your ads tool to check against. To look at ones that are already created, we can navigate over here to our demo organization. So I've got a few rules prepped here. So verifying the company, checking the annual income are some examples of the rules that you can use to verify those leads and say, yep, this is a good lead, Google. I would like to value it as such and upload it to train that algorithm. If you navigate over to our uploaded leads page, we have this report here it's all controlled by this date range filter up at the top. By default, it's set to a week. That's because when in use for us, we're uploading those daily. So that made sense for us. But to show us some more data here, we'll actually change it to include some dates from the past. This updates, you can say it per year, per quarter, whatever works for you. And you can keep it as up to the user when they currently navigate in. It updates the reports down here as well as the charts. Speaking of the charts, we've got leads over time. So just showing you how many leads were uploaded, what date, uploads by conversion action. Conversion actions are things you set up in Google Ads where you actually say, this is how we convert that lead, convert that click into a lead and how we want to save it and take that value of it. And then down here below, you get a full detailed view combining Salesforce info with the Google Ads info. So lead info like the first name, last name, email, company, the conversion action name, and then that value that it was uploaded and when. You can also easily see the failed upload history. So if any leads were not able to be transported, it'll let you know why. If an expired event, meaning that click was too old, we can't actively pull it in anymore. The data is gone. Invalid conversion action, things like that to better troubleshoot your experiences in that Google Ads optimization. And that's that one. That's our fun cross industries. If anybody has any questions before we move on, otherwise I will pass it back over to Allie.
Thank you so much, Morgan, for walking us through all of those. Let's talk about what's coming up in Q1 and Q2 for financial services. We're going to be developing and releasing an automated wire transfer approval and a HMDA auditor. And then in cross-industry, we will be working on Playbook Management and Dynamic Questionnaire. So for wire transfer approval, this application aims to reduce risk by integrating with checks to core banking systems and OFAC, and then using rules to evaluate the wire transfer, simplifying the notification process so that that wire is transferred efficiently and guaranteeing the accuracy of the inputs. Then lastly, for financial services, in Q2, we're going to be doing a HMDA auditor. The goal with this possibility is to evaluate mortgage files for potential Home Mortgage Disclosure Act violations, and then map the required codes to the correct fields to eliminate any reporting errors. This application is going to bring transparency to your loan files for potential fair lending violations and eliminate the time-consuming manual entry task that's required for the annual reporting. And then lastly, we're excited to announce that in addition to the free possibilities in the App Store, we've begun partnering with customers for applications to be offered separately, known as premium possibilities. Those will be available for purchase only. With premium possibilities, we currently have one in development in partnership with Bridge RM, and that is First Legal Deadline. That project is going to address the complexity of calculating that first legal deadline requirement on mortgages that have entered into default. And then I'm going to give it back over to Morgan to finish up with what's coming up in cross-industry.
Thanks so much, Ellie. Yeah, so cross industries, what's coming up for Q1 and 2? We have Playbook Manager. This is another possibility that's going to hook up with Salesforce. This one's combining those the workflow capabilities of decisions with tasks in Salesforce. Essentially, we will be creating playbooks, tying them to certain actions, and then when a playbook is activated, you make one, it will create those assignments to whoever is tied to it. So a playbook will be a particular list of activities that need to be completed for a particular subject or event. So our example here is if a new customer signs and is onboarded, certain things need to happen. So when that playbook is activated, these things will show up as things to get done in Salesforce, creating an account, sending a welcome email, issuing server info, etc. And then lastly, for the roadmap, we have Dynamic Questionnaire. Dynamic Questionnaire is cool, and his goal is to make it easy and customizable to build questionnaires, tying questions together using a mixed type repeater. That's going to dynamically show, the questions that you selected as you build your questionnaire. It's going to be dashboard based. So you have a dashboard where you can make questions, dashboard where you tie those questions together in a questionnaire, as well as allowing you to send those out easily. Once a user has filled out that questionnaire that you've created and sent out, you can then view those responses on a responses dashboard. So now that you've seen all the fun stuff that we have released and what's planned, how can you get access? So our possibilities, all the ones that are released, they're free. They're available on the App Store. So if you have a Decisions dev environment, Decisions local environment, they're available there. Version 8 or higher, though, if you click on the My Apps folder in the Decisions Studio, you'll be able to see a view where it's got modules and applications. Under applications is where our possibilities and other App Store items live. Additionally to that, we've got documentation articles written and published on our doc site. So the normal documentation.decisions.com. If you swap out that V8 drop down and change it to projects, scroll down, you'll see the folder with the possibilities where all of our articles live. And each of these are kind of a walkthrough showing a user how to install, how to use any questions you might have. You can look there first as a source of information and guide to use. Additionally, we have short snippet demo videos published for all of the loan calculators, and getting some up very soon for Scorecard and ads optimization tool. Those are on our Normal Decisions YouTube channel. There's a possibilities playlist. Additionally, we're going to be holding these every quarter. So these empowerment webinars where unlocking the possibilities and decisions is the title, and we'll go through what's going on. Customer empowerment, we really, really do want to empower you better to know what's available, how we can better help you. So please let us know, download these possibilities, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear, what you're excited about, what you didn't like as much, what you want to see in the App Store, any ideas you might have. If you liked something that we demoed and you want more of a deeper dive, one-on-one demo, we'd be happy to get that scheduled up for you. Also check out the small demo videos that will be on YouTube as well. Do you have a question? Yeah, dynamic questionnaire. Awesome. Also, for your thoughts and opinions, we definitely want to know. So we have made a survey, and we'll drop that link in the chat now, as well as email it to everyone here, so you can fill that out. It was built on decisions, so it's always fun. But use that to give us feedback. Tell us about possibilities downloaded. Tell us about the webinar as well. We'll take that feedback. We'd love to improve there. If there's anything you'd like to say in addition to that, or you think of something later, please don't hesitate to reach out to possibilities@decisions.com. Or, if you're not sure who to talk to about it, you can talk to your customer success manager. Additionally, if you see Will here, our VP of Customer Success, on any calls, webinars, lunch and learns, please let him know how much you like our possibilities. And if you have any feedback, I'm sure he'd also love to hear it. So we appreciate it. Please, if you have time, download them, test them out. We'd love to hear your feedback and experience and ideas. Definitely let us know. Thanks, everybody.